teaching you something that you already know so that you're not bored out of your mind. It is Memorial Day, and so, that's why I took this opportunity. I don't know, it makes sense. It's like a day that usually everybody is off. But I'm not, and that's okay because I actually like my job. Okay, so actually let me pause on the writing for a second. So let's just start from the beginning. And we're gonna just start from page 1, we're gonna just go through everything. All right, quarter note gets how many beats?
1.
Awesome. Half note gets how many beats?
2.
Wonderful. Dotted half note?
3.
Wonderful. Whole note?
4.
Wonderful. Dotted quarter note?
1 and wait, quarter?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
1.
Like 1.5.
1.5. Yes. Yay. Okay, good. And eighth note gets how many beats?
Half.
Yay. And 16th note?
A quarter.
Yes. Wonderful. Okay, we're busting through these pages, people. All right. So we're already past page 6. Let's look at page. Are you pretty good with your notes on the treble clef and the bass clef, or you're like a little bit shaky?
Working on it.
Working on it? Okay, cool. Do you know your silly sayings to remember the notes like every good boy does fine and great burritos and all that?
Yeah, I always mess them up. It's like good burritos don't fall apart for trouble.
Ooh, this is good. I
I
get to.
forget. I
No,
know.
this is good.
I
This
know
is
the
good.
sayings. I just forgot.
No, I
which
know
ones go to
that you
which.
do. I believe you. I believe you do know that. But just so we can remember, because guess what? Other kids are going to be watching this too, and they can learn again too. And I lost my black marker.
Oh wait, I know which one this is. Every good boy's fudge is the trouble clef, and good burritos don't fall apart is bass.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the spaces have their own silly saying.
It's bass and then like all cows eat grass.
Correct. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna do it quick so everybody can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every good boy deserves fudge. Sometimes it's does fine. Did you do does fine?
I do both.
Yeah, either one. If it's on a line, oh, that's why, because it rhymes. If it's on a line, every good boy does fine. But that's okay. Every good boy deserves fudge. Every good boy deserves. Every good boy does fine. Every good boy deserves fudge. Either one is fine if it's on a line on the treble clef. And if the note's on a space, it spells face. Wonderful. Lines on the bass clef, which there's a couple of them, but great. Burritos don't fall apart for the lines on the bass clef, and if it's on a space, all cows eat grass. Some people say all cats eat grass because it rhymes better. Doesn't really matter. Woohoo! And another weird thing, which you already know this, but this note, middle C, and this note, middle C, are the same C, people! For some reason we get weirded out by the space in between here, right? But they could have just went and just made it right in the middle, but they don't. All right, next. All right, so we're past page 6. We can skip 7. We can skip 8. That's just showing us the grand staff. Treble clef is usually the piano player's right hand. Bass clef is the piano player's left hand. If you're a guitar player or a vocalist, a female vocalist, you'll use the treble clef. Obviously, you're a bass player as well, so you know that if you're a bass player, you're going to use the bass clef. All right, now we're going to skip page 9 because that's just showing us what a repeat sign looks like, which I'm sure you've seen already. Wonderful. All right, skipping to, actually we're going to skip all of that. Skipping page 12. Skip to 14. So we're going to talk about time signatures and rhythm. Okay, time signature, if you see this. Let's do a 3-4 so that we can differentiate here. Do you know what the top number means?
The number of notes in the measure.
Yes, do you know what the bottom number means?
Having the measures? Wait.
The bottom number is the weird one.
Yeah. I think everybody knows the top and not the bottom.
Yes, correct. Don't worry, it took me 20 years and about 15 years of teaching to be able to explain the bottom number in a super simple way. And I finally just was able to explain it well like a week ago. And I'm like, I'm gonna explain it like this forever. Everybody knows what the top note means in music. It's very simple to understand. How many beats are in the measure? How many beats are in each measure? Very simple. I should probably learn how to write on the whiteboard better so that people can actually see this, but you know what, it's all right. Probably about 5 people are gonna see this, so no one really cares. Okay, the bottom number is actually the way that theory books explain it, which this one explains it. Let's see how they explain it. Usually they'll say the bottom number is what kind of note gets the beat. That's what all the college books say, but that's so vague. Like, I told you that, but do you even really know what that means? I don't either, and neither does anyone, and when you read it, you're like, what kind of note gets the beat? You could say it as many times as you want, and it's still very dense to understand. This book says, or is it page 14? So this book is explaining it kind of the same way. It's saying the bottom number means that the quarter note gets 1 beat. So we're just gonna write how it's always explained. What kind of note gets, I always put this in quotation because it's like, what does that mean? Gets the beat. But I explain it in a way simpler way, which is this. They could have just did this. There's 3 quarter notes in each measure.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what it looks like too.
Yes. But instead of writing a quarter note, they decided to represent a quarter note with a number 4, which makes it super confusing because then you have 2 numbers. According to me, it should be looking like this. That way no one can get confused. 3 quarter notes. Great. The other thing is of why this can get confusing is because that doesn't mean there's only quarter notes, obviously, in each measure. You could also have, 8th notes, you could have 16th notes, whatever you want. But the point of them is the whole thing has to add up to 3 quarter notes, no matter what you happen to have in there. If you had something like this, 6/8, there's 6 beats in the measure, but you could also say there's 6 eighth notes in the beat, or I'm sorry, 6 eighth notes per measure. So then, looking like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm already messing it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And each one gets a beat. And especially for drummers, they have to know that specifically for what accent goes, like how the accents are gonna go. And as a bass player, that's important for you too, to know, right?
I also play drums.
Oh, just kidding. Well, then there you go. There you go. I'm sorry, did I just do 8? That's not what I meant. See, I did it wrong. That's not what I meant. I meant 6, sorry. 6 8 notes like this. 6. And if you wanted to really get deep into it, you can count it like triplet, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes you can count it 1 and a, 2 and a, but that's a little bit weird. I would usually just do triplet, triplet. When it gets really wonky is when people see this and freak out. But don't freak out. It just means there's 5 quarter notes in each measure. And if you counted that, it would be looking really weird or sounding really weird. It would have to be, no, sorry, that's not what I meant. Like this. It's usually a group of 3 and a group of 2. Or a group of 2 and a group of 3. Not really a group, but like an act, how it's accented. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With usually the accents doing something like this, potentially. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Much easier to hear it than to write it out. Okay, great. Time signatures are done. Oh, actually, you know what? One last thing. Because each time signature kind of has its own reasons, or like things that, types of songs that it uses. Types of songs you'll hear it in. Like, one question I had when I was in college was, what's the difference between doing something like this and doing something like this? Because isn't it the same in a way? Because you could count it 1, 2, or so you could count it like this, triplet, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or you could also count the same exact thing, just doing this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And just doing this. And making the tempo faster. Like, you would change the tempo technically, but it would sound the same to the audience, or so I was imagining in my mind. And theoretically, yes, that's correct. They are the same thing. But the way that it's felt by the drummer is different. That's the point. The accents are different. All right, yes. Also, this is called a waltz. Waltz. If somebody says, like, especially because you play live at jams, well, it's very rare that somebody will have a song in 3/4 to jam. But sometimes you'll hear someone say, oh, it's a waltz. It's in 3/4 is what they're trying to say. And the last one, this one, no, that's not what I meant. 12/8. 12/8 is seen a lot in ballads, like blues ballads, soul ballads, things like that. Why? Because this huge number breaks up like this. 4 groups of 3 eighth notes. And as a drummer, you'll recognize triplet, 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 triplet. Usually it's slow, like like the, a lot of like Otis Redding type soul, 60s soul, classic rock soul does that. Well, actually a lot of songs do that, ballads, a lot of ballads do that. Okay, now we can move on from that. So now we're skipping all of that time signature stuff. I've had a count, and we're going to skip all that actually. No, we're not doing crossword puzzles. We're not doing any of that stuff, but we can talk about intervals. Okay, yes, wonderful. Intervals. Have you looked at intervals? Seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, eighths, ninths, tenths?
Sort of.
All right, intervals. Yes, intervals are just the space between the notes. And they're mostly important in sight reading to try to make you go faster by seeing the space between the notes on the staff as opposed to reading each individual note. Like, instead of reading C, E, G, A, da, da, like that, if you can see, oh, that's a third, you can kind of just move your fingers that way instead of reading each note. Kind of works a little bit better with piano players, but still. And we'll start with major intervals. There's major intervals and minor intervals. How many notes are in a major scale? Do you know? Ooh, this is good. Ooh, this is wonderful. We're learning something. So there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, I wrote that sloppy. I don't like it. We're redoing this because I have to be consistent and that looks really ugly. So a major scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Also known as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I think we've sung this before. In C, it would just be like this. You have to start and end on the same note, otherwise you did something weird. And we'll go into whole steps and half steps and how to construct this later. But basically, between here and here is a major second. So these are all major. Major second. So between C and D is a major second. Also known as a whole step. Whole step, we'll just write it over here. It looks like this. Whole step. And then you just keep going. Between a 1 and a 3 is a third. 1 and 4 is a fourth, 1 and 5 is a fifth, 6th, 7th, and then your octave. Your octave at the end. And yes, there's also intervals in between here. Like you could put an interval in between anything. It's just the space between the notes. And why is that important? Well, because you can start reading music faster looking like if you had this, let's say you had, let's just do a C chord. So if you had this, I wouldn't necessarily read that as C, E, G. I would just go, oh, those are thirds. Oh, that's a major chord. Like my eyes can see that now after however many years of looking at the staff. Like this shape will always be a major chord on the staff no matter what. And so I would just go, that's a C major chord, and just play it like that. I wouldn't go, oh, C, E, G, like let me play it like that and then find the fingers, no. I would just like, that's a major chord. And if there's another third, so these are thirds by the way. In between each thing is a third, like each note, shouldn't say thing. Trying to be more professional. Oops, not that. So in between here is a third, stacked thirds. In between here is a third. In between here is a third. Stacked thirds make, well, that would be a major triad, like that. That makes a major seventh. But if you saw this like, let's just say for example, on the staff, you saw it like, you saw stacked thirds somewhere else. A major chord, that's a B major chord. I would just look at this and go, that's a B major chord, and go, it's that. It could also be like another C major chord would be here. C, E, G. That's just another major chord. So it can make your sight reading faster. Or if you saw something like, especially for bass players, you use a lot of 1s and 5s, 1, 5, 1, 5, or octaves too. So when you start seeing the 1, let's say you had a 1, your E is 1. I would just go, if I saw that, I know it's a 5. And on the fretboard, I would know how a 5 looks without having to actually know where the note is, if that makes any sense. Like I wouldn't look at this note on the fretboard, I would just go, That's an E, and it's a 5. And I would go E, and then I would skip a fret, skip a string, and I know there's a 5 right there on the top. And that's a lot of information for people there, but you've been playing for a long time and probably know what I'm talking about, like the power chord, a 1 and a 5.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, erase, erase, erase. And we'll listen to these, and that'll be it for our theory for the day. Oh yeah, also intervals. For ear training, that's the other important part. So ear training, meaning being able to hear either short passages, chords, whatever, and being able to navigate it and kind of understand where it's going without having to have the paper actually handed to you, is contrary to popular belief of people thinking like, oh, ear training means that I have to be like, whatever that guy's name is, the one pop singer who goes on late night shows and like, maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe.
I know what you're talking about.
I forget, but he's like so good with perfect pitch that he'll be like,
oh, it's probably Justin Bieber.
no, not Justin Bieber.
I don't know. Honestly.
It's, oh my gosh, I'll remember it in a minute.
I know who you're talking about.
That guy.
I've seen him.
Yes, with the scar over his eyebrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has perfect pitch. So meaning like he can hear this and know that that's a B flat. 99% of people don't have perfect pitch. You don't have to have perfect pitch to be able to have great ears, great ear training, and being able to hear a song and knowing where it's going. How people do that is through the intervals. So meaning I might not know this is a C from hearing it, like hearing it, but once I know what the key signature is, which most of the time somebody will tell you what the key signature is, like 99.99% of the time, or if you don't know what the key center is, you can just find that root note by like hearing the 1. That's everybody can hear the 1, and you should be able to find the 1. But once you find the 1, then you can use your intervals to navigate the song. So for example, once I figure out this is a C, like let's say the song is in C. Oh, that's the 1, okay. And once I know what this sounds like, then I can start hearing the intervals, meaning this is a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then of course your octave, which should be really easy to hear. Then when you get really good, you can hear the space like, and you'll know like, oh yeah, I think that's a 5. That's a little bit harder. But we'll go into that as well, the songs that you can remember to remember your ear training. We'll do it next time. But like, for example, the wedding song, you know. Okay, that's a 4th. It's going 1, 4, 4, 4. So every time I hear that in a song, or like whatever I'm doing and it sounds like the wedding song, I'm like, that's a 4th. Then I know I can kind of navigate like that. Or like the Star Wars song, the theme song. Dun, dun, da, 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 da. No, wait. Yeah, I know that's a 5th. All right. And that's it for our theory for today, party people. And thank you for the 2 people that actually tuned in. All right, wonderful.